Hey guys, I'm back. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to my channel. It's been a hot minute. Whilst I've been gone, I did have a baby. It's been about a month since I uploaded a video. I did say I was going to take a little bit of a break and then hopefully slowly come back to normal. I wanted to come back obviously first with my birth story and tell you about the crazy story of labour and my baby girl entering planet Earth. She is the best thing in the whole world. I cannot tell you how incredible this new chapter of my life is already. Obviously people always say to you, you do not know what love is until you've had a baby, and it is so true. My heart could actually fall out of my chest when I look at her. She is the best thing ever, and I will bring her in the video at the end, but I just will not get through this video and we just will not get anything done if she's sitting next to me. So I have notes in my phone from labour, so I am going to go through it. I'm going to try not to make this the longest video in the whole entire world. You might remember I said I didn't actually want to vlog my birth, so I knew I'd do some kind of birth story. I do have clips here and there which I'll put on top just from either Cass filming things or my nan filming things. So yeah, as we're talking, there might be the odd thing on the screen. Let's start from when my due date was. So my due date was April 1st, which was on a Saturday. I had an April Fool's baby. Well, I didn't, but she was joking around with us because she had no intentions of coming anytime around her due date. If you follow me on TikTok, you would have seen it was a bit of a tedious situation. The days ended up feeling like months. I just knew in my heart, I'm late for everything. How could I have a child that was going to be on time? So my due date rolled round, nothing, and I was okay. I remember someone saying to me, it's okay to cry on your due date if the baby doesn't come. And I felt fine, I really did. But it was after, so it was from like the 2nd onwards, I was a bit like, okay, I'd like to have a little bit of an idea of timings. I'm a control freak. But to be honest, I have spoke to a few people that have given birth recently, and they all agreed the end of your pregnancy is a mind game. It is crazy. It's obviously your body is so tired and stretched out and you are so heavy, but for me all that didn't really matter. It was what was going on up here. I really struggled mentally at the end of my pregnancy, so I was booked in quite early on. I'd say around like 35 weeks. We booked all my dates in with my midwife for the foreseeable up until the end, and she booked me in for a stretch and sweep on the 4th, and I remember thinking, I won't need that, she's gonna come before that. 4th of April rolls round, Tuesday, and I had my sweep. I went into that appointment very emotional. Well, I left very emotional. So I went in and I was kind of 50-50. I knew I possibly wasn't going to be dilated at all. So in case you didn't know, you have to be at least 1 centimetre dilated for them to do a sweep. I was not a centimetre, but my midwife said my cervix was slightly, like the tiniest little smidge, starting to open. So she said that she kind of massaged the area and almost aggravated it because that's better than doing nothing. And I'll be honest, I found that very, very, very uncomfortable. Fairly, do I want to say painful? Okay, it was kind of painful for me. Everyone's so different. I've heard people say that sweeps did not affect them at all. I did bleed a little bit, but she said that was completely normal. And on that day, we discussed booking an induction. I was never against inductions. I know they are a bit Some people are against them, some people are all for them, some people get really excited to get their induction booked. I was staying very open-minded, but I knew as soon as I got to a week overdue that I would want to be going in for an induction. That's just personally how I felt. I did not want to be going into the 41st week, rolling into the 42nd week. Personally, just didn't want to be doing that again. I was struggling mentally and I just was like, get this baby out of me at this point. I was booked in 1 week past my due date. So the 1st I was due and I was booked in on the 6th, like literally the Saturday after, for an induction. So it gets to Saturday and it's induction day. And I didn't really speak about it online just because, like I said, it is kind of controversial. I don't think it is, but I've heard people say they're very against them, whatever. It is what it is. I personally had a great induction experience, and I think just do your own research when it comes to stuff like that. But yeah, I was booked in and I was supposed to go in around midday on the Saturday, but they rang me and said, could I come in at 4 o'clock? Minutes felt like hours, but as soon as we got to that hospital, it was game on. And I knew once I was walking in them doors, I was not walking out until I had a baby. Right now, this is when I'm gonna have to start looking at my notes. So excuse me if I'm constantly looking down, but I'm telling you, Easter weekend, a blur, a whole blur. So the Saturday when I went in for my induction on the 8th, did I just say the 6th? Was it the 8th? So I went in on the 8th to be induced. Yeah, it was Easter weekend. Anyway, so I got to the hospital at 4 o'clock. And obviously every hospital is different. I don't really know how it works. I knew about inductions just from my friends that had them. And I kind of knew the different options that you could, I don't know if you can make the decision yourself, but the different induction scenarios. And my hospital in particular, it kind of was like a family tree of the route of induction. And for me, it was really nice to see it all mapped out and just know what to expect. However, it did make me a little bit anxious that the induction process could be very, very long. It could take up to about 5-6 days, which was obviously worst case scenario. We were put into a ward where it was kind of split up by curtains, so you were in a room share with, it could be up to 6 people. The time I was in there, I think there was 2 other women, but the midwives come in and they kind of talk you through the induction process. You can ask any questions and then you get the ball rolling. So the first thing I had for my induction was a pessary, which, sorry if you're a midwife or a nurse doctor watching this and my explanations are going to be diabolical, but I'm going to try my best. So step 1 for me was a pessary being inserted inside, and it had string coming out, a bit like a tampon, but not the same kind of thickness and density. It was just like, almost just like a bit of fabric with the string. And that was going to let off hormones to basically make my body think I'm going into labour and hopefully get the ball rolling with contractions and just head in the right direction. There was a chance that it could do nothing, but that is obviously the risk of being induced. That's why it can take up to 5 days for some people. Everyone's so different. People take to the different steps very differently. Once the pessary is in, it's in for 24 hours and then you can't really take it out, because if you're not giving it its full 24 hours, you're not letting it, you do its full potential basically. So there is a chance you could do the whole 24 hours and that's a whole day wasted because you could make no progress. When she put the pessary in, she said she'd check if I was dilated any further since I had my sweep 4 days prior. No, I wasn't. I was still, she said 0 centimeters. My midwife was a little bit kinder. She said I'm a smidge. I was hoping to hear maybe you're a smidge, but no. But she did try and do what my midwife done before and just kind of massage the area, seeing if we could get it a little bit open. but very uncomfortable again. Really, really, I'm not into sweeps, but I know it's got to be done. And then the pessary was in, and she literally said to me, buzz if you need us. We're kind of going to leave you to your own devices for 24 hours. If you're in pain, good. It's a good sign. Obviously, if you're in a lot of pain, we can give you pain relief within reason. You can't jump ahead to stuff like epidural, stuff like that, until you're in active labour, which is when you go into the labour ward, which I will get to further on. So first of all, I was getting backaches, and I could tell it was doing something, which was nice, but also uncomfortable. So we kind of ploughed through the evening from obviously 5 o'clock was when it was inserted up until about 11 p.m. I was just in a lot of like lower pain, back, around the front of my stomach. I didn't know obviously what contractions felt like, so I was like, are these contractions or am I just literally so achy? So it rolls around to about 11 midnight-ish, and it was different midwives on now because they obviously do the day shift and then there was the night shift stuff. And there was this midwife, she was lovely, but she was very old-fashioned and very to the point and abrupt, said it as it is, and she came in and was just like, is he staying? Which Cass was 100% allowed to stay in my hospital. Great, again, I don't know how different hospitals work. And I was like, yes, like all defensive, like, do not take him away from me, I need him. And she was like, honey, I have been doing this longer than you two have been alive. Let him go home. And I was like, why? Like, I just panicked. And she said, you've read the sheet. You could be in here for a while. You might not get much sleep as time goes on because you're going to be in pain. One of you needs to be fully rested to support the other. And I was like, she's kind of making sense. And Cass obviously was like, if you want me to stay, I will stay. If you've not given birth before, you might not know that your birthing partner or your husband, wife, whatever, literally gets a chair like this. There's no slant to it, nothing. It's literally an upright chair. So obviously with that in my mind, looking at the chair, I was like, oh, he's literally not going to get any sleep. I've got a bed. He can't do anything for me right now. Things are only going to get worse. She said, this is going to be the night where you're not even in probably that much pain yet. It's only going to get worse. So you might want him more so tomorrow night. And I was like, oh, she's basically telling me I'm literally definitely going to be here tomorrow night still. So she was like, I'm not telling you what to do, but like I said, you'd be smart to go home and get some sleep so you can support her tomorrow. So we decided Cass was going to go home and get some sleep. And it was the weirdest thing. It's like my body knew. In that time from him going, literally I think he texted me that he got home, my contractions kicked in hardcore. To the point where I had to buzz the machine and ask for really strong painkillers. I think I started off on just tablets that would, I think they were literally like a paracetamol and something mixed. Again, they kind of try and start you on the weakest one so you can build up and just kind of check like, no, that didn't really work for me, or yeah, that was quite good, I'll stick to that. And I asked for something quite strong because I just wasn't sleeping and I just knew that this was the start. And like the lady said, I wasn't going to be getting any sleep. So she gave me Oromorph, which is obviously morphine, and in case you don't know, it can make you quite sick and also make you a little bit like, ooh. Also, my hospital is one of the hospitals that is trialling getting rid of gas and air, so I had no option for gas and air throughout my labour, just bear that in mind. So this is like 2 a.m. I'd had some painkillers, some strong ones, and I tried to sleep, couldn't. And I was quite emotional by this point. I was really, really struggling. I couldn't get comfortable. I was actually timing the contractions because I knew, I was like, these are contractions. These are definitely, there's no doubt that these are not contractions. So I downloaded a contraction app and they were really, really, really regular. And I was like, they can't be this close together because I'm literally not dilated. It's not making any sense. So I was timing them and they were literally like 3 minutes apart. And obviously I'd done my research, I've watched all the movies, I knew 3 minutes apart was quite promising. I did tell one of the midwives and she was just kind of like, just keep going, it's fine, like we can't really do much, we'll monitor you in the morning. So I ended up ringing Cass and saying, I can't do this, I'm really struggling. Again, it was mentally for me. So I think he said he got about 2-3 hours sleep, which, you know, what it is. And it's the weirdest thing because you know that your birthing partner, when they turn up, it's not gonna take the pain away, but I just needed that support. By the time he got back, it was around the time when the morning midwives were starting. It was around 6 a.m. and they strapped me up with the pink and blue straps and monitored me and the baby to see what my contractions were saying. And they confirmed I was definitely getting strong, regular-ish contractions, but they still weren't like 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes. Once I've been monitored, it was around 6-ish. And I had more painkillers. I just asked for more Oromorph because I just could not take the pain. It was crazy. One of the midwives recommended I try having a bath, which I was excited about. I didn't know that was an option. It was just nice to have a change of scenery and just go into another room and have a bath. So I went in and run myself a nice hot bath, got in the bath. Within about 3 minutes, I just had this kind of panic and I was like, I need to get out of this bath. I don't know what it was, what come over me. I just remember sitting dead upright. It was a really low bath as well, and I was obviously so heavily pregnant, and I just shot up out this bath. It was like something took me over, and as soon as I jumped out of that bath, I started projectile vomiting everywhere. Because obviously one of the side effects of the Oromorph is sickness, and it was just a little bit delayed. I think maybe the hot bath and the steam in the room just kind of just made my body like, whoa, there's a lot going on right now. Again, just made me very emotional. I was sobbing and I rang Cass because I was just in a different part of the ward that he wasn't really allowed in, but because I was in such a state, I needed him to come, so they let him come round and give me a change of clothes and just kind of help me out because I was really struggling. And by this point, I was also trembling a lot. I had this throughout my labour. I just got really bad shakes to the point where I could not hold anything. I think it was a mix of adrenaline, the tablets I was taking, fear. It was just everything. I wasn't really eating, which wasn't out of choice. I love my food. I just couldn't obviously keep it down because I was being sick. So when I got back to the ward, they gave me a sickness injection, and I just needed to keep busy. So I rang my nan and she said that she'd come down and see me for a little while. She wasn't actually allowed in the ward we were in just because they had visiting hours later in the day and it was still the morning, but I could go out into the communal area and see her. So she came for literally like 20 minutes, bless her. But it was nice to just get up and walk out of that ward and just, again, change the scenery. It's weird. Labour, you just got to keep busy, otherwise you will go out of your mind. I just remember when I saw my nan, as clear as day, she would be talking to me and then I'd go to talk and then I'd have to be like, and like, you can't talk. It's the craziest thing. Like, you cannot talk through a real contraction. Like, it's that painful. It's the weirdest thing. So she came, didn't do much. Like I said, bless her, she was in the car longer than she was actually with me, but it was nice to just have a change of scenery. She just said, you need to go in and you need to sleep. She just literally looked at me, and no one's going to be honest like my nan. She was like, you need sleep. Like, you look like you've been through it already and this is just the beginning. I was like, yes, keep telling me these hard truths, honey. Me and Cass were like, right, let's do it. We're going to sleep. We're literally going to sleep. We're going to kill a few hours. Let's sleep. Literally lay on this bed. Within minutes, I just feel this weirdest sensation, and I just honestly feel, and it took about 5 to 10 seconds for me to feel any gush. But as soon as I felt that pop, I was like, it can't be. It literally can't be. Can it? Is it? And I'm like literally talking to myself in my head. Cass is right next to me and I was about to like nudge him, but I was like, I'm not gonna say my waters are broken until I felt waters, like something going on. And then the gift that just wanted to give, I felt my waters break. And I will tell you, great feeling. I really enjoyed the feeling of my waters breaking. It was the weirdest thing. It was literally like a balloon popping inside you. And then the weirdest sensation of like just this gush that you can't control. And I literally went, oh my God, Cass. And he was like, Sid, we've just said we're gonna sleep. And I was like, my waters have broke. And he like shot up. It was honestly like a movie. It's the weirdest thing. I was like, oh my God, my waters have broke. I don't know if I explained this properly earlier, but when the pessary's in, obviously you've got 24 hours and then it's like, have your waters broke yet? Yes or no? But obviously if your waters have broke, you don't have to do the further steps. So I literally smashed step 1 and the rest of that sheet I didn't have to entertain because my next step would have been going into labour. So I was just so buzzing. I'd gone from being in so much pain, so emotional. Obviously I was still in pain. And let me tell you, once my waters broke, it got way worse. But I was just filled with this joy and excitement all of a sudden. I was like, oh my God, things are progressing. This is happening. Like I can deal with this pain because there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And called the midwife in. She confirmed, yep, my waters had gone. And then I went to the toilet and had to come out and say, just to let you know, my waters are brown. I remember someone saying before, I think it was in my antenatal course, if your waters aren't clear, you need to let them know straight away because it is a higher risk. And she said, okay, that just means the baby's pooed inside you. Not to panic, but this does kind of raise you to high risk. The whole way through my pregnancy, through the beginning of induction, I was low risk, and then that did elevate me to high risk. But she said it just means you just need to be monitored 24/7 now. The baby needs a closer look at. You will have straps on you, like the blue and the pink straps will be pretty much glued to you. And if you want to look at it in a positive, it just means things will hopefully be going a little bit quicker for me because I basically, well, my waters broke anyway. So within the next 24 hours, I needed to give birth. So that meant we could go into the labour ward. So I gave my nan a ring because I knew from the beginning that I wanted Cass and my nan to be my birthing partners. And once you are in your labour room and you're in active labour, you can have a second birthing partner. So I rang my nan and I said, Nan? She went, that doesn't sound like you're sleeping to me. Because obviously she'd just left me like an hour or two before. And I was like, I've got great news. Turn your car back around, honey. My waters have gone. And yeah, just everyone, our moods just all lifted so much. It was a really nice change because everyone was just really flat for a little while. But it was all based on because that everyone was worried about me, obviously. But it was game on and we went in to the labour room. I'm just gonna carry on because she needs feeding and I'm just never ever gonna finish this video unless I just plow through. So anyway, this is where it would be really great if I didn't waffle so much. I could make this story so much shorter, but birth was such a big thing and yeah, I need to tell the whole story, but there's no point in telling it. So we got into the labour ward about 2 o'clock, I'd say, on the Sunday the 9th. And first of all, the room that we were put in, it was like it was meant to be. There was a big mural on the wall, which I'll add a picture of. And I asked straight away, I said, is this picture in every single room? And she was like, no, there is like artwork in every room, but they're all different. Like one of them might have like a city skyline. Obviously this one is the ocean. And we were just like, you couldn't write this is crazy. Obviously we had Ocean's name picked out for a really long time and she kind of looked at us like, oh, and then I explained, I said, we're naming the baby Ocean. And then I think they thought we were joking, but it was just the craziest thing. And It was such a nice room. It just felt like the energy had changed, and it went from being the scary unknown to a lot more exciting, and this is happening kind of thing. Once my nan arrived, it was literally us just making ourselves at home, because obviously that was going to be the room where I gave birth, and we weren't leaving that room until I had a baby in my arms. And met the new midwives, discussed that I definitely wanted an epidural as soon as I was allowed, because like I said, as soon as my waters broke, it felt like the contractions had just kind of stepped up a notch. They said that was completely fine, we just needed to get an anaesthetist in and talk through everything. And in the meantime, they checked me, and I was excited to see how dilated I was, because my waters had broke. It kind of meant in my head things must be progressing. So once they checked me, I was 3 centimeters dilated, and that was obviously music to my ears. It's not much at all, but from being 0 centimeters the whole time to finally hearing a number was just amazing. And she also did a sweep while she was there. These bloody sweeps will be the death of me. Honestly, can't tell you how much I hate sweeps, but she was like, we might as well try. Obviously sweeps are known to kind of push things further, we hope. And then it was just waiting for the anaesthetist. So I had the epidural at around 4 o'clock, and obviously just like normal epidurals, you're talked through what can happen, what can't happen. There are chances that the epidural might not work properly, all that jazz. But once that was in, I think I calmed mentally, because I knew it was going to be kicking in soon. And from there, I don't really know what happened with the epidural. I will quickly cover it. My epidural did not work, but my nan and Cass are convinced that it must have done something for a little while, because I seem to have been managing my contractions a lot better. But I just don't ever remember having the relief that everyone said you get, where you can sleep, you can just enjoy the moment. I just did not remember having that, especially when it comes to pushing, which I'll talk about in a bit. The whole time I could walk around, which I knew that was an option. I knew from my antenatal course that epidurals have come really far now. They don't have to be as strong as you are stuck in the bed, which I liked the idea of at first, but then I thought if there was an option to have just had it really strong and just kind of be glued to the bed, I think I would have preferred that. But I don't know. I think there was just so much going on in my head, and it's such a blur, I can't even remember. But yeah, like I said, I could walk, I could go and have a shower if I wanted. My midwife changed at 8:30 p.m. to the night staff, and just before she left, she did another check, and I was 5 centimeters dilated, which again, I was really excited about. I thought things seemed to be going really quickly. Time all of a sudden felt like it was flying. But the head midwife did keep coming in, obviously, like I said, high risk, so there was a lot of different people coming in and out checking on me, and she said she wasn't happy with how quickly things were going. My contractions did seem to be slowing off. This video needs to be in chapters. Cass has just took her for a little while so I can finish this goddamn video. I can't even remember what I was saying. I think I said that the head midwife come in. She just was popping in and out every so often just to see what was going on and check everything was okay. And when she checked the graph from the monitors on me, she kind of broke the news that things had kind of slowed up a little bit, and we just didn't really have time for that. I think in a normal labour where a baby hadn't pooed, they would have probably just rode the wave, but they had to look at an option to get the contractions back into a regimented order of boom, 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 and it couldn't just like drop off, pick up kind of thing. So that's when I went on to a drip, a hormone drip. I think it was like the oxytocin one. The drip obviously again heightened everything, and that's when I was like, this epidural definitely isn't working. So yeah, the epidural was just a big fat fail for me. So I just realized that we just need to get through this. We really do. But they did tell me that the drip was really going to significantly speed things up. So I literally spent the rest of Sunday evening just getting used to what was going on, trying to make best of a bad situation. The hospital were amazing. They had these mood galaxy lights that project onto the ceiling in every room. So they tried to make it like a nicer vibe in there, and we put the lights on. I had my music playing. They just said like, get in your zone, make this room your own kind of thing. So I had country music playing. You know what, it was actually quite a good time. Then once it hit midnight, it was time for my next check. They were doing checks on how dilated I was like every 4 hours. I was 9 centimeters dilated. And I was a bit confused because I was like, wait, I'm 9 centimeters, and they made it very clear they don't really bend the time checks. Like if I was 9 centimeters, they were still gonna wait 4 hours. And I was like, surely it's not gonna take 4 hours for me to be another 1 centimeter. Can you hear the baby screaming? My 2 midwives went on their break at around midnight. Like I said, I was 9 centimeters, and I think they were just trying to distract me. So I had another midwife come in. Well, I had 2 because obviously I had to continuously be monitored. And then another one come in, and she started to do a little bit of physio with me, which was, I don't really know. I don't really know if it worked, but basically they said that they could tell by the baby's heart rate that she was kind of sitting at a weird angle, and this physio might get her in a better position ready for me to push. But looking back, I think that they were just trying to distract me because they could tell I was in a lot of pain. And then once I had my physio, let me tell you, it was game on. I just remember grabbing my midwife, that was just like my temp one, whilst the other 2 were on their lunch. And I remember just feeling like a demon, and I was just like, I need to push. And she was like, what, you're getting the urge to push? I was like, I don't know how to describe it in a better way than I'm gonna poo myself. And she was like, if you've got the urge to push, go with it, follow your body. And Cass was next to me, and I could sense he was just like, is this happening now? And all the it was still really dark in there, all the mood lights were on. I think she was humouring me a little bit, and she was just like, let's just see where this goes kind of thing. Like, does she actually need to push, or is she just bored? And I just remember seeing red, and I was just like, and from there, I'm gonna be honest, I think it was a big blur. I'm pretty sure I was pushing for around 2 hours, but all I'm gonna say is I was not ready for the pain of giving birth, like the actual birth, the pushing. Like I said, epidural, I've never experienced pain like it. I cannot believe that is, I can't believe that they say giving birth is like a natural thing. Obviously it is, like women have been giving birth for years and years and years. I do kind of sound crazy, but at the same time I stand by. I think it's inhumane. I actually cannot believe it, that it's been 3 weeks. Everyone's like, you'll forget the pain, you forget the pain. And my thing that I kept saying throughout was, this baby, I'm one and done. She's gonna be an only child. And obviously I love her so much, and I would definitely go through it again for her, but I will never ever ever forget that pain in a million years. I'm actually gonna leave on the screen roughly what time I started pushing. I gave birth at 3:43 a.m, but Cass propped up his phone and started filming the first part of me pushing. I've not actually watched it because it's an hour long, that video. That isn't the whole part of me pushing, but I might add a little section in. It is from the side, so it's fine, but obviously I can't explain the whole of the pushing section because it's a blur. And I will say it does go quite fast considering, but all I can say is I felt every last bit. The first bit is so draining because not to make this super technical, but in case you didn't know, I didn't really know, when you're trying to get the head out, it's basically like it's coming around a corner. I'm not sure what kind of corner, but it's like you just keep doing the same part over and over and over again. And they were just trying to explain, like, it had to get round the, I think it's called the birth canal. And you're basically, it's like you're wheeling a little car around a corner and it keeps rolling back on itself. That's the best way I can describe it. It's just one step forward, two steps back for a good hour. And everyone's obviously trying to encourage you, but you know deep down, like, this is never gonna end. Obviously it is gonna end, but they just kept saying, like, we can see hair. And Cass was like, he's the only one that's gonna be honest with me. I was like, am I getting anywhere? And he was like, you can see a tiny bit. I think you're gonna have to push a lot harder just to make it a little bit more exciting. The things that I've wrote down, the head midwife, again, she was like coming in and out. I don't think she knew this, but she was like my motivation, because she actually scared me a little bit. And she did actually come in at one point and I heard her. I don't think she wanted me to hear it, but she was like, we need to speed things up. She's been pushing way too long. I'm not happy with like how things are looking. I'm basically gonna, I don't know how long she said, but I could tell I had like an amount of time, and then they were gonna maybe start intervention, whether that be forceps, ventouse, C-section, I don't know. But this is when I gave myself a pep talk and I was like, Sid, if you don't get this baby out, you've gone through all this pain with no pain relief, no gas in there, no epidural, just to get this far, and for them to have to intervene anyway, which is fine. I know if it had to happen, it had to happen, but I just literally, like, it was like my life depended on it. I just went into this crazy lady mode. It was literally like, I can't even explain it. But I also remember, actually, they were like, you keep pushing but nothing's happening, we're really confused. At one point, it was like halfway through, and they were like, when was the last time you went for a wee? What kind of question is that? I have no idea. Why would you ask me that? I have literally no idea when I last went for a wee. So they were like, we think you've like almost, I basically turned off the brains of my bladder somehow. So one of my midwives was like, right, let me quickly put a catheter in. I was like, oh my God, like, I'm not going through enough pain right now. Let's put a catheter in. And thank God they did. I think they said in total that from the catheter, about 800 ml of wee came out of me. Obviously that's just short of a litre. My bladder basically hadn't told my body I needed a wee, and my bladder had got so big it was blocking the baby. So I must have a strong bladder. It literally was just like the baby's head was battling with my bladder and my bladder was pushing it back. So from them putting a catheter in and my wee being drained, then we started to see a lot of progression. So that was a fun little side note. Oh, the ring of fire. Once we got to the actual ring of fire where like the head's coming out, I went all dead serious and I was like, guys, I genuinely, like, not to be dramatic, I actually think I'm like, I feel like I'm dying. Like, I don't know what death feels like, but I feel like this is the closest I'm gonna feel to it. I'm being dead serious. Like, I cannot do this. I was on 2 days no sleep. Like, I was crying, screaming, kicking. It was just, they were getting me on different angles. At one point, it's all coming to me now, actually. At one point they had me on my side trying to push, because they basically, I was obviously very important to them, but they were so concerned about Ocean's heart rate, and some angles I was pushing, they were losing her heart rate. Not necessarily her heart rate was dipping, but the bands was still on me, but where I was pushing, I was moving the bands. So sometimes they had me pushing on my side, and then I was pushing on my back, and then I was kind of like leaning forward, so I was almost like standing up, and it was just really throwing me off, and I was not in a rhythm. I just wasn't, it was really, it took me a while to just get in the zone. And when we finally got to the ring of fire, you guys might not even care about these finer details, but it's all coming to me now, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna say all this so it's documented for me, because I'm gonna watch this back. I'm gonna make Ocean watch this back when she's older, but like, look what you put mummy through. But I was like, I can't, this ring of fire, like I honestly feel like you actually have set me on fire and I'm gonna burn down. So they actually injected my vagina with some, I think, local anesthetic at this point, just to kind of dull some of the pain down. And did it work? I don't know, I can't really remember at that point, but I will never forget that pain, honestly, I won't. It's actually crazy. It does make me, I laugh and joke about it, and obviously one day I'd love to give her a sibling and I will get over it, but it upsets me a bit that I do feel like the pain has robbed me of having that really magical birth. And I did say to Cass that day, and I do still kind of stand by it, obviously she's the best thing that's ever happened to me, but I really struggled to say that her birthday, like the 10th, was the best day of my life, because I feel like I can't say it was the best day of my life, because I honestly have never, not to keep repeating myself, but how can I say that that moment was the best moment of my life when I honestly felt like I was dying? It's so weird, but I hope that just shows how painful I found it. Only other things I've got written down here to say are that when she was actually coming out, so once her head finally come out, she had her arm up next to her head, so we had a little superwoman, and her umbilical cord was wrapped around her neck as well, but that was completely fine. It is the craziest thing, when she flew out, you feel everything. Like I felt the umbilical cord come out, and then a couple minutes after they injected my leg to get the placenta out, which again, I feel like I'm just doomed. I had the injection so I didn't feel the placenta coming out, but I still had to, they still kind of said like, can you give us a little push please? And I was like, I thought that this injection was supposed to not mean I'm involved in this, but I felt everything. Felt the placenta come out, saw it come out, that looked nasty. I did not want anything to do with that. Cass cut her umbilical cord, and then that's kind of where it went a little bit panic mode. Obviously the best thing that's happened was she's out, she's safe, perfect, but then they kind of focused on me and the alarm was hit. I just remember all these doctors rushing in, and they were my two fears: her coming into the world and not crying, and the alarm being hit and all these doctors rushing in. It's just my fear. I don't know. I watch Grey's Anatomy literally all day long, and it's literally still my biggest fear. But I think I was just so out of it because I was so drained and overwhelmed, and I'd just given birth. I'd just seen my little baby, and my baby's been pulled off me, and then all these, I'm not joking, I think they said there was 12 doctors in the room at one point, and my legs are in the air in stirrups, but basically my stomach was still contracting after she'd come out of me, which is a sign of internal bleeding. So they thought maybe that I'd hemorrhaged, and there was a lot of blood, but cut to, in the end I was absolutely fine, and they were happy that nothing as bad as what they were thinking was happening, thank God. But yeah, that was scary, because from Cass's perspective, he was like, it was like they just threw the baby at him, and then all of a sudden she wasn't their priority, and it was like something was wrong with me. Oh my God, I feel like I'm welling up. I've not been that emotional since having her. Yeah, that's pretty much everything now. So once they'd figured out I was fine, it was back into having our moment with our baby, and it was, once she was there and everything, that the pain had stopped, I could appreciate that it was the best thing ever. And she just, it's, having a baby, it is the best thing ever. It's just the pain. I wish you could take away that pain. I really just wish my epidural had worked. So weird that she's ours and we've got her here forever now, and she's sleeping. I was hoping that she'd wake a little bit because I want to bring her over so you guys can see. But that is my birth story. I hope I haven't missed anything. I don't think I have, but sorry, you know me. I don't know why I can't just tell a short story. I like to be a little bit descriptive. Well, I hope that you enjoyed, and before I go, I'm gonna quickly grab Ocean. Hey. Oh, hands up. She's like, leave me alone. They want to see you. So this is Ocean August Strawn, and she was born 10th of April, 2023. What time? 3:43 a.m. and she weighed 8 pound 3, and she's a tall baby. I can't remember how long she was, but she's so tall. Like, her baby grows. I'm not a bad mum and I don't buy things too small, but her legs are so long for everything. God, she really is not waking up. You have honestly made this video so long and now you want to be Sparko. Oh, big yawn. You don't want to wake up and see everyone? Oh, big stretch. Oh, sorry, guys. Oh no, I'm sorry. Okay, you're gonna have to see her just like this. I'm gonna insert some pictures on the screen, but you are perfect, aren't you? And you cause mummy lots of pain. But she's the best thing ever, and you guys will see her in a lot of the videos coming up and vlogs and stuff, and I promise I'll be back soon. I'm just still in my little bubble and we're loving life. But thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna put her back down because she's gonna go mad. Oh no, I've upset her. But thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in my next video.